So, how do you not get your feelings hurt? How do you overcome emotional trauma and pain from things that other people do? Well, I'm going to tell you in this video. You want to tune in. Don't take it personally. You got to stop taking it personally because guess what? Nothing they did is because of you. I'm going to break it down. I don't know what they did, how they made you feel, or whatever. I want to encourage you to stop taking it personally. So, the things that people do is a projection of their own reality. I have people come to me all the time. They say someone cheated on them, they used them, they abused them, they lied or mistreated, and because of that they feel less than, or they feel like they're not as valuable. But I'm here to tell you, whatever they did to you or whatever they did, period, it has nothing to do with you. So don't take it personally, because that's only a projection of their own reality. When you become immune to the actions of others, you protect yourself from feeling like a victim due to the emotional suffering that comes in those type of relationships. So you got to separate yourself from taking it personally. They feel like somebody just do you wrong. You don't understand. Why do they treat you that way? Why do they act like that towards you? Why do they, come and use you and then they leave? Or why do they lie to you? Why would they treat you? I remember hearing somebody say they went through a divorce and their ex moved on really quickly. And I remember hearing her say, I feel it's as if I didn't mean anything. I want you to know, just because someone makes a certain decision, it has nothing to do with who you are. It has nothing to do with your value. So don't take it personally. Nothing they did is because of you. The reason people do what they do, it has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with who they are, their own identity, their own reasoning, and their own thoughts and mindset behind what they're doing. Some people say, well, I was the perfect wife. I did everything right. Why would he leave? Why would he do this? Or I was the perfect co-worker. I did all my work. Why would they fire me? I did everything I could, or why would this happen to me? I'm such a loving, caring person. Why would bad things? Listen, don't take it personally. Don't attach yourself to conditions. It's time for you to separate yourself from why things happen and what happened, and know that it has nothing to do with you. As you grow your self-worth and begin to detach your identity from others, you're going to begin to have more freedom and have a healthier view when it comes to your relationships and making healthier decisions. But first, you got to understand your self-worth has nothing to do with what another person did. So I don't care if they did it to you, it still has nothing to do with you. And just because somebody used you or cheated on you, that doesn't mean you're the kind of person that gets cheated on. See, I think we got to stop identifying ourselves with the behavior of another person. Because a person did that, you identify yourself to that. No, it has nothing to do with you. Let them do what they do. That has everything to do with them and their decisions and who they are. And really, some people, that's just in their nature, to be unfaithful, to be disloyal, and that's just who they are as a person. And sometimes, I'm not gonna say sometimes, I'm gonna say all the time, we need to accept people fully for who they are and stop trying to make them be, or try to wish them to be someone differently. Oh, well, they have potential. Oh, well, I envision them being this way. No. Take your own vision and dreams off of another person's identity. Allow them to be who they are. Accept them fully for who they are and where they are. Don't try to make them into something else, but allow them to be who they are. And when they show you who they are, believe them and see it fully. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't avoid it, but sit with it and allow yourself to mature and to learn from that situation. So you want to ask yourself this when it comes to not taking things personally. Ask yourself, is this an emotional trigger or am I upset? So when something happens, somebody say something, maybe they say something, they hurt your feelings. And immediately, instead of you stopping yourself from getting emotional, you get all into your feelings. You get upset. You get angry. You feel uncontrollably angry. And you just like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me. Why? Why would you do this? And then you find yourself in this place of distress and anxiety and fear and sadness. So you want to stop before you allow yourself to get there emotionally. You need to say, is this something triggering me? Am I taking this personally? Am I allowing what just happened to also relate to something that happened in my past? Is this childhood trauma coming up and I'm allowing what just happened to reinforce some pain that been needing to heal in me? So you want to take ownership of your healing process and stop putting it on the other person. Oh, you hurt me. Oh, you broke me. Oh, you caused me all this pain. And you got to take ownership and say, you know what? You may have done something to me that caused me to trigger some pain in me, but I'm not going to give you that responsibility of my healing. I'm going to take full responsibility of my healing, and I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to get in the way of trying to figure all of this out, but I'm going to see it for what it is, because I know that what you did has more to do with your own projection on reality and not who I am. So you want to eliminate that, identifying with those things. You know, a lot of times this comes from codependency relationships. You depending on a person in a very unhealthy way. And it could be you as the fixer, the person that's solving all the problems, or it could be you as the victim. So you want to ask yourself, is this a trigger, or is this emotional pain that I need to heal from? I actually share more about this in my book, teaching you how self-sabotage and codependency blocks you from manifesting love, happiness, and money. And sis, be nicer to yourself. And this book is available now for pre-order. You can get your copy on Amazon if you want to get it on Amazon, or you can go to sisbenicertoyourself.com. So I want to get more into prioritizing your self-care when it comes to not taking things personally, not allowing other people to, dictate how you're going to feel. When you prioritize your self-care, you don't allow yourself to get in that place where you're uncontrollable emotionally, where your emotions are running wild and you can't stop crying and you can't get past the anger. You're not going to allow yourself to get there, because when you prioritize your self-care, when you make sure you're good, you're feeling good, you're healthy, you're happy, you're surrounding yourself with loving things, you're not going to allow nobody to take you there. Because your self-care is such a high priority, you're going to keep those healthy boundaries in place. You got to stand on those healthy boundaries and let go of the people pleasing, because a lot of times we eliminate our boundaries because we're thinking about other people and pleasing them, because they want to move fast, they want to rush into the relationship. You lower your boundaries and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and you jump into relationships real quick and call them your husband when you barely know them. I'm gonna keep it real today, y'all. I'm gonna keep it real. You just met somebody, but now they're your husband already. Take it slow. Keep those healthy boundaries up. Don't get so caught up in the process of pleasing another person, but focus more on your self-care, your healthy boundaries, having high standards for yourself, and gradually growing in a loving, healthy relationship. You don't have to move fast, because when you're moving too fast and you're trying to get things quick, you can come off with desperate energy. And you don't want any relationship to have a foundation of desperate energy. Because that desperate energy is not only desperate in the beginning, but it can become desperate in a divorce. So you want to take your time. It's okay. Enjoy the moment. You know, begin to just take it all in and experience life. You know, savor it. Savor the moments of life. You don't want to rush anything, especially not a relationship. So stop taking it personally. I want you to type in the comments, my self-care is my priority. Because when your self-care is your priority, you don't have to worry about taking things personally. Because you focus more on making sure your mind, body, and spirit is in a good space. And it doesn't, like, what another person do, it's none of your business. And even the good things they do, if they come across as really being kind, that has everything to do with them and how they feel and their reality. You don't have to attach yourself to that or attach your identity to what another person is doing, good or bad. You can appreciate them, love them, honor them, and respect them. But you don't have to attach your identity. That person, when they say something, trigger you, hurt your feelings, offend you, you feel offended, instead of lashing out, I want you to ask yourself, why did that hurt my feelings? Wait a minute. What's behind that? What happened that caused me to feel like my feelings are hurt? And then as you identify that and take ownership for your own health, your own mental health, your own self-care, you respond differently. You don't have to lash out and say, you hurt my feelings. Why would you do it? You don't have to give that energy. And because you don't know, maybe they didn't expect to hurt your feelings, or they wasn't trying to hurt your feelings, whether they were or not. It's not on them, it's on you. And so someone can say something that, probably would have, me, I look at myself now and how much I've grown. And someone can say something that would have hurt my feelings in the past just by the way I allowed things to get to me. But now, they can do something or say something and I say, I can feel that, like, that was something. Why would they say that? But it rolls off. It doesn't stick, because I'm at a space and a place now where I don't have that sensitivity. I'm not as sensitive when it comes to someone else doing something to me. And this is how you build yourself up from the inside out. So you're not as sensitive and hurting real easy when someone says something, but you know how to, it's like some people call it a thick skin, but it's really something you built within yourself, of a protection, a boundary that you built within yourself to protect yourself, protect your heart, protect your mind, so that when those things happen, you know how to respond in a healthy way for you. Because you lashing out in anger and being upset, that's not helping you or the other person. But it actually creates more of that toxic energy that you don't want. I'm going to invite my amazing husband, Patrick Howard, to join us now.
We can jump right into questions. I'm back on business. One of the questions we got was, how do you stop feeling emotionally numb after a toxic relationship?
A lot of times when people have been hurt over and over again, especially by the same person, and I talked to someone recently who's dealing with this in her marriage, where they were on and off, even separated, and now they're back together, living together, and she feels numb, just like no emotion. He's trying to do things to make her feel better and nothing is working, and she's just so exhausted and just done with, it's almost like she's done with the relationship. She's numb because she's been hurt so many times. A lot of times when it comes to healing the emotional numbness of a toxic relationship, you got to understand that you're grieving. It's a part of grieving, because even though you may re-enter that relationship, something in the relationship has died. An old spark, an old hope, or whatever it is that you had, the relationship that was in that relationship, something is no longer. And so the numbness comes from the death of the relationship. really getting back to a place of your own personal healing and passion, and allowing yourself to befriend yourself. Because a lot of times people spend so much time and energy and attention on trying to heal a relationship, they neglect themselves in the process. And so in that process of wanting to heal that relationship, you lost yourself. So get back to self-love, get back to self-care, get back to nurturing your mind, body, and spirit. As you do that, you will be able to restore something in you. And maybe she's looking for that from the relationship, and that disappointment causes the numbness.
Yeah, and I think too, like you said too, once you get to working on yourself and building yourself up, I think that you'll have the courage to make the decision for what you need to do. You have the courage, and you can trust that insight. You can trust that intuition. You can trust the leading and guiding of your spirit to say, this is what I need to be doing in this relationship. Because oftentimes relationships that are over, they end mentally, spiritually before they're physically done. You know, so if it's something to be revived, that something will need to be revived mentally and spiritually first. And if it's not there, I think you need to build up yourself to have the courage to say, this is the decision that I need to make in order to ensure that I'm doing what's best for me and what's best for my family, and not just sticking myself in a situation that won't be edifying for me long term.
Awesome. Got another question?
Yeah, so the next question is, why is it hard to let go of an ex? This is an interesting question too, because a lot of people, with celebrities breaking up and stuff like that, they've been posting old pics of their exes, and, they shooting a shot. I don't know if they shooting a shot or they trying to get that old thing back or whatever, but what do you think about that?
I think, people have past regrets. They may look at that old relationship and say, well, I could have been different, or I could have done things differently. And so those past regrets can cause them to hold on to things in the past and want those things, or want to revive those things, Or it could also be that they just haven't allowed themselves to really heal. Even years after not being together, they still have that, I need that validation from that person, because a lot of times that's what it is in relationships. They're looking for validation. And so when the relationship ends, it's like, I still want that closure or that validation or something to reinforce that I get your approval. So this is why it's important to make sure you're giving that to yourself, because the relationship you have with yourself is going to impact every relationship. And if you're lacking within that quietness, the connection, your inner being, you connecting with the God in you and flowing through that, you'll feel empty, and you'll start looking for it in everything and everybody else.
Yeah, I think about it in two ways. I think about one of the things is, if you look at how people act after they've matured, after they've experienced life in such a way where they've gained wisdom, knowledge, and information, sometimes they look at their past experiences and be like you said, like, man, I could have been a little different in that situation. And they could be searching for things in a new relationship that they may have had a little bit of, but didn't really have all the way, the 80-20 rule, where people looking for 20% because they missing out on something. And then they realize, like, oh man, you know what? The experience I had with that person, it could have been better because I'm a better person. No different than, talking to somebody in their 30s and 40s and they being like, you know what? I wish I could go back to high school right now, because if I knew what I knew now, I would have treated that experience completely different. So a lot of regret, a lot of learning, but I think the truth in it all is that you can't go back. The truth is, you can't go back. Time continues to go on, and it's important that you learn from your past experiences to become a better person, to create the future that you want.
Right.
As opposed to trying to go back and see, like, I know we left off at this spot 5 years ago, a lot has changed. You know, we look different, we believe differently,
You're
but
not
can
the
I go
same
back and pick
people.
up where we left off at? Like you can't, because the experiences have created such a newness of your mindset, a newness in who you are. You know, things can't pick up where they were 5-10 years ago, as if things never occurred in your life, you know.
Because the truth is, if you get back with your ex, it's still a new relationship.
Yeah.
You still had a gap in between, you know, what happened. You know, it's just like when someone is applying for a job and they have a gap where they wasn't working for a certain amount of time, and the new employer always say, well, what happened in that, what was you doing?
Yeah.
Because you did something in that gap and you're not the same. So it's still a new relationship with a person that you knew in the past, but now you got to re-know this person again because you had some time away.
Yeah, a new relationship with somebody that you're familiar with, but they still a new person.
You're not the same person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Some of you a year ago, you're totally different than what you were.
Yeah, and we've been married almost 18 years, and I'm definitely not the same person that I was 18 years ago.
So definitely, it's a whole new relationship.
Also, if y'all have questions, you know, you can always send the questions to support@RainieHoward.com.
Or type your questions in the comments.
Or type your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get to them too. So the other question is, how do you know when the right one is the right one?
First of all, you got to learn to trust your own judgment. You got to learn how to be in tune with your intuition, with how you're feeling, how things are picking up in your spirit, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Because if you can't trust your self-judgment, it's going to be very difficult to know the one or know when it's the right one. Because that takes time and it takes processing and getting to know a person. But I think the right one is always the genuine one, the one that comes with a pure heart. Some people you just know it's not in their nature to be faithful. And that's something that we got to be real with. Sometimes people get in these relationships and they're forcing that person to be someone they're not. And they're just not the type of person to be faithful. They may be unfaithful to their own self. They may lie to themselves and disappoint their own personal goals or whatever. So how do you expect them to do you right and be loyal and faithful to you when they can't be faithful to who they are as a person? Or they're not faithful as a son or a father. They're not there for their own kids. You know, pay attention to those things. You can't expect them to just treat you like so great, but then they do everybody else wrong.
You definitely got to see how people treat themselves. That's a real indication. You know, we talk about people loving others as they love themselves, but most of the time, folks neglecting things that they need to do for themselves. They work so hard for other people, they neglect their own intentions and their own body and their own thoughts and their own beliefs for the sake of other people. So it's definitely important to make sure you're paying attention to that. How does a person treat themselves?
Yes, pay attention to that. Pay attention to how they treat their exes or their ex-baby mamas or whatever. Pay attention to all of that. All of that, those are clues. Those are clues. Awesome. We got one question? Okay.
I guess still
So
work?
what does it
About
mean
work.
if you get fired for no reason?
From a
Well, I can talk about that from my experience. I say I work in corporate America a number of years, and there are times where individuals come in with different ideas and perspectives on how they feel they want to build their team and how they want to manage their goals. I think that there are moments where you can be in a position where you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, everything that your job requires you of doing, even above and beyond that, and that completely doesn't fit the goal financially of what the organization is trying to pursue. So
Don't take it
personal. Yeah.
Back to the message.
You can't take it personal because sometimes these are business decisions that have nothing to do with your work. They could be a matter of, I got 5 people and I need to get rid of somebody. They told me to have 3 and all 5 people are doing a great job. I just got to narrow it down. I was in a situation like that not too long ago where the employer had ideas of outsourcing some of the activity and they had to make a decision. They had to cut the team down. And it wasn't a matter of let's see who's the weakest link, because every individual had their specific strengths and specific regions that they were responsible for. But the truth of it was the team just needed to be cut. Overall, you can't take it personally when those decisions have to be made in corporate America. I say, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Look out for yourself. Make sure you're doing everything that you need to set yourself up to get to where you want to be. Because in the same way, and I feel like this, the same way that these companies will make sure that their bottom line is taken care of, you got to make sure that your bottom line is taken care of as well. You know, so if that means that you got to properly position yourself for your next opportunity, do that. Yeah. Because whenever you leave an employer, it don't always have to be on bad circumstances. You can leave on a high note. You can leave with positive energy around you just because you have other opportunities that's better suiting for where you want to be personally.
All right, this was good. So I want to encourage you guys to share the message with those that you know, your friends and loved ones. Also, be sure to subscribe to YouTube and check us out. We got a lot of stuff going on YouTube. But we want to encourage you guys to join us every Monday and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We love you so much. Yeah. We enjoy it so much connecting with you guys. Send your questions. Go ahead and pre-order my new book, Sis, Be Nicer to Yourself, sisbenicertoyourself.com. The book will be released September 28th. Be sure to pre-order, and you can get access to the exclusive masterclass with me and meet and greet. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, I want to hear from you. How will you prioritize your self-care and not allow other people to trigger you or to take things personally? Let me know. Be sure to share our messages with others and also tune in to our next show. We'll see you there.